Call the meeting for the Plan Commission to order for July 20th, 2023. We start with roll call, please.
Mr. Cox?
Here.
Mr. Heath?
Here.
Mr. Kella?
Here.
Mr. Orlando?
Here.
Mr. Perez?
Here.
Ms. Rohr? Here. Mr. Rusinellis?
Here.
Mr. Dillon?
Here. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome Mr. Dominic Orlando. You have something you'd like to add?
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a few words to say. I want to first personally thank Mayor Darcy for reinstating me back on the Plan Commission, and also for the City Council approving their vote of confidence for my appointment. And also, I am looking forward to work with the members of the Plan Commission and also city staff. And also special thanks to the IT department and the secretaries involved in the Plan Commission for them helping me to get updated on the new technology. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, next, can I get a motion for the previous minutes?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Heath?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Orlando?
I'd have to abstain for that, I wasn't here.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
Abstain.
Mr. Rusinellis?
I wasn't here. I just sustained.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye. Next, we got no order.
Next order of business would be citizens to be heard on agenda items. Those in attendance are welcome to speak on agenda items now, but here we also allow you to speak when the application is called. But if there's anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item, they can do so now. Agenda items, so anything, but again, we will let you come up when the petition is called, so I just want you to be aware, yeah. Okay, so, moving on, old business for, public hearing, we have none. Under old business, we have none. New business, public hearing, the final plat for Joliet Logistics Park Subdivision Phase 3 was withdrawn, FP 723. And now to move to new business, A 623. That is an amendment to an annexation agreement for Millennium Square subdivision to allow packaged liquor sales on Lot 8, and that the address is 2571, 2573 Plainfield Road. Under general information, the applicant is Kalpesh Patel and Amit Patel, and they are the owners also of the site. Under requested action, approval of an amendment to an existing annexation agreement for the Millennium Square subdivision to allow packaged liquor sales on Lot 8 of the subdivision. And again, that address would be 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road. Purpose is to allow packaged liquor sales at a new fueling facility, again at 2571, 2573 Plainfield Road. Existing zoning is B3 General Business. Location is the same address as we've been noting. Size of the parcel is 3.35 acres. Existing land use is a vacant commercial lot. Under surrounding land use and zoning, to the north is single-family residential. That is zone B3 and county R3. To the south is single-family residential, county R3. To the east is vacant commercial lot, stormwater detention B3. To the west is single-family residential, county R3. Under site history, the subject properties were annexed into the city in 2006 and were subsequently included in the Millennium Square Plan Unit Development subdivision, which was platted in 2007. The Plan Unit Development PUD was originally developed with the intent to attract commercial and retail users to the site. Lot 8 of the subdivision, which contains two parcels that are currently addressed as 2571 and 2573 Plainfield Road, has been vacant since the properties were included in the Millennium Square PUD. The other lots within the PUD were developed shortly after the subdivision was approved and have maintained occupancy since 2008. Under special information, the petitioner is requesting an amendment to the annexation agreement for the Millennium Square subdivision to allow packaged liquor sales on Lot 8 of the subdivision. The petitioner is also requesting a special use permit to allow a fueling facility at the same location. Special use permit is not up for consideration from the Plan Commission. Section 2C5 of the annexation agreement prohibits a tavern or packaged liquor store use. This section of the agreement would need to be amended to allow packaged liquor sales on Lot 8 of the Millennium Square subdivision for the fueling facility to contain a liquor sales component to its business. The original annexation agreement for the subject properties was approved on February 7th, 2006. Therefore, the annexation agreement is set to expire on February 7th, 2026. At its May 18th, 2023 meeting, the Zoning Board of Appeals recommended denial of the special use permit to allow a fueling facility at the subject property by a vote of 4-3. Primary concerns from area residents that attended the May 18th public hearing included exposure to increased traffic, noise, and pollutants, potential for increased crime in the area, potential contamination of area wells with proximity to the fueling center's gas tanks. Both the special use permit petition and requested amendment to the annexation agreement are currently scheduled to be on the August 15th, 2023 City Council agenda for final action. The public hearing for the annexation agreement amendment will take place at the City Council hearing on August 15th, 2023. Even if the amendment to the annexation agreement is approved, the city's liquor commissioner will make the final decision on whether the subject use will be granted a liquor license for sale of packaged liquor. The original annexation agreement was amended in 2007 to allow a Jiffy Lube auto service business located on Lot 5 of the development. Terms of that amended agreement have been included in the staff report packet, and that concludes our staff report.
Thank you, Jim. Do we have the petitioner on hand?
Good afternoon.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name, please.
Tom Osterberger, 111 North Ottawa. So I'm an attorney for the petitioner.
Okay.
One of the representatives is here today. As Mr. Torrey said, the actual special use, the zoning issue, the entitlement for the property is not at stake. We are here obviously because you guys look at annexation agreements initially and as amended. In order to do what they want to do, which is going to be in front of the city council at a public hearing, we have to amend the annexation agreement. All of the gas stations that owners that I represent, everybody needs packaged liquors because of the way the business model works. So what we're asking, and I assume there are a few objectors here. I wasn't at the ZBA, did not represent the owner at that time. But what we're asking is that you amend the annexation agreement to permit package sales should the city council decide that that use is appropriate. It was a 5-4 recommendation for denial. But again, I think it's important that we don't get into the actual use, because 17 years, 16 years, this development has sat there vacant. If we were here right now in the middle of asking for packaged liquors or asking for liquor for a high-end restaurant in the strip mall, it would be wrong if this commission said, well, let me look to see what the use is, and then I'll see if we're gonna amend. Because right here, we're just talking about the annexation agreement. We're not talking about ultimately the use. So I think the agreement's been amended once, not with respect to liquor, but I think what we're asking is, we think that given the time, the lack of use of this property, that allowing liquor within this annexation parcel, we're asking that that be permitted, whether it's us now or somebody in the future. Now, we know that when we get to the city council, these things are gonna go together. So if they don't approve the project, the amendment of the annexation agreement fails as well. But I'm trying to distinguish two. If I had an Olive Garden here, you guys would be saying, that's great, it's an Olive Garden, maybe we'll amend it. But either the spirit of the agreement over time, 24,000 cars along Route 30 in front of that building every day, the times have changed. We believe that the annexation parcel should be allowed to have liquor out there, packaged liquor in this case. again, those other issues, there's more to deal with, neighbors more to deal with, city council to deal with, but we're asking that you allow the agreement to be amended just with respect to the alcohol.
Okay, thanks. Before I ask my questions, anybody else want to ask questions?
Yeah, I have a
Go
question.
ahead.
Yes, I was understanding that there was a community meeting on May 15th.
Yes,
And that was to present information regarding a special use permit for a fueling facility and also to obtain feedback from the residents. That was right?
yeah, I was not in attendance.
Oh, you weren't in
No,
attendance? Okay. Well, at that meeting, I've heard that at the meeting or any other separate meetings, did anyone also inform the residents, in addition to the special use permit for fueling, was this project, that this project could be requesting an amendment to the annexation agreement to remove the prohibition of tavern package sales on the property?
Yeah, so Dominic, I think what happened was there wasn't the realization that that prohibition was in place, and it came up later. I don't think it was there was an intent to deceive people. When that came up, obviously Ray, the planner on it, said, hey, you have to jump through these hoops. We much rather would have had them to go together, because one went and now we have a delay. So I don't think that was intentional. I don't think it was discussed
No,
at
it
all.
probably wasn't, but
Yeah.
since, all these prohibitions, not prohibition, I should say, all of the covenants, I guess, to the property, they were still in place from 2007.
Right.
And I think everybody else that has businesses in that area, from Firestone all the way to the vape shop, they, or AutoZone, I should say AutoZone to the vape shop, they all have been in compliance with
Well,
the,
but keep in mind, it was amended once.
Yeah, I think originally, auto repair was not permitted out there, or one of those uses were not permitted out there, so.
yeah, but there was an ordinance stating, ordinance number 15 something 99, I read it in the, in one of the pages, that they had to keep their doors closed. Only time they could open up the doors is when they, entered the vehicle or exited the vehicle.
But that's a condition of the special use, Dominic. The point is that it was amended because times change. The original annexation agreement was restrictive enough that this is what we have, a development that obviously 08 hit. But here we are 17 years later, and some of the prohibitions, I think, should be amended. I mean, we have alcohol in every other commercial permitted, not mandatory, but in every other commercial zoning. So that's all we're asking. Again, we're not asking anybody consider that the station is appropriate. That's a different venue.
I got a question. Is this building a gas station depending on the liquor license?
It certainly
Be able to sell
may.
liquor?
Yeah, the business model is such that it may.
That's one question. Now, here's the other, and correct me if I'm wrong. In the past, the city council never want liquor sold at all these little gas stations, and I thought we started at that one at Jackson Street in Collins. Was that first to make the deal for the Historical Society? So someone would pay for the building of the building? And that was a hot topic, because then, as every gas station wants, I want my liquor license too.
Right.
And I guess that would be up to the city council, whether we're gonna have every single, because after we approved this, we approved it, the shell down the street go, well, we want our liquor license too. It's only fair. And you got every single gas station in town, and it already started, to my knowledge, or some have already come to the council, one of theirs.
Well, believe me, I understand that completely, but again, that's the Liquor Commission, and you guys are simply saying, we understand this area, maybe this should be allowed. That's what we're doing. Again, not tied to the use, not tied to the gas station, just allowed. There's two more steps on whether they would get it or not.
Okay.
Mr.
I
Chairman,
just hate
questions?
for you guys to say no, and then,
Well, we can say no, and the council has to get a hard vote
well,
on
and
it.
all of a sudden in 6 months, somebody else comes through, you know what? We didn't like that use, but this one's okay, because that's not what this is about. This is either a prohibition on liquor in this subdivision, or it's not.
Yeah, I have another question. I'm just interested to find out, was there any feedback from the residents in regarding to the petition to remove that one condition about the packaged liquor? Was there, did any of the residents at one time were informed of this?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure, Dominic. And there are some
Can
people
any
here.
residents maybe give us a,
Well, but
update
keep in
on-
mind, this is a public hearing, so the notice for this is the same as the notice for the ZBA. I mean, a separate required notice, posting and letters. Correct, Ray? The notice requirement is the
Yeah, we
same.
send out 600-foot notice, and it's, in the newspaper as a legal notice.
And posted.
And yeah, signs were posted, yeah.
yeah, I saw the sign,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any other questions from any of the commissioners? Is there anybody from the public that would like to speak on this?
Hi, everybody.
Just swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the
She should
truth.
have, she should have sent those.
State your name, please.
My name is Leslie Grimes.
We speak into the mic so we
Oh,
can
I'm
hear
so
you.
sorry. My name is Leslie Grimes, and I stay at 2564 Plainfield Road, right across from the proposed amendment. Like the gentleman said, if they was building a Olive Garden or something, we wouldn't mind going across the street for that. We wouldn't mind that, but he wants packaged liquor. We have one on this corner. We have 3 at this corner down right here, and we got 2 packaged liquor stores, a Big Benny's and that Shell gas station on the corner. They both sell liquor. We got a JD's, and we got a Speedway and the Walgreens. This is all in one block. All in one block. That's too much liquor for us. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. And he said maybe for later on down the road. Well, let's come back here and we'll discuss it later on down the road. But please don't give him no open-ended thing to sell liquor there. We have more than enough liquor stores. More than enough. More than too many. And everything around there still closes at 8 o'clock. They closes early. When the sun finally settles down, peaceful street, in the daytime it is busy. But please don't destroy our way of life. If we needed it, and if it was something, they was bringing something new to us, the whole subdivision, we have discussed that. We would all be on board for us. But they're not bringing nothing new to us. We have plenty of gas stations, 1 on each block. We have liquor stores, 3 on this block right here, which is in walking distance from my house. The other one is 2 at that block, at that light. They're not bringing nothing new to us to disrupt our way of life. We worked hard to get these houses that we have now. I know I did personally, worked hard to get that. No, I don't want no packaged liquor across. We can walk to the Speedway. We can walk to Benny's. They're not giving us nothing new. Please give us something new, and we're all on board. But you're trying to put that right across from our house, where we live at, where we raise our kids. I raised my grandchild there by myself. I'm scared for the crime. That's why I moved out there on that side of town, so I didn't have to put up with the crime like that. That's a very beautiful area. Crime is gonna go up. That's my main thing. You're gonna have all kind of people walking at all times of night. The ones on each side, they're not by the houses. That's the difference. And we can still walk to them. There's no houses by them, around them. They're all surrounded by a business. But he's want to put theirs right in the middle of our house. That's what I have a problem with. That's all I have a problem with. If it was in there with businesses, that's fine. But you want to stand out talking about so you can hit this freeway traffic. No, you're hitting our housing traffic. We live there. The other ones are all in businesses. Please think of us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else? You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but truth?
I do.
Speaking right into the mic, please.
I'm Sharon Stukel. I live in Crystalline. I just want to add to what she said. The other big difference in here, other than this is in a residential neighborhood. It's not. There's that little commercial strip and a little one, but the rest, it's completely surrounded. And they plan to be open until midnight every night. And selling packaged liquor until midnight is different. You're going to have possibly a lot of traffic going in just for the liquor. So we might get a lot more traffic in the neighborhood, strictly for that, as well as they're going to have gambling. So they're going to have packaged liquor, which, people would probably, I'm guessing, have to take that out, but they could drink it in their car and go back in and gamble. And I just want to recognize that if you paid attention to the news, you heard in Hammond that they are trying to close some of the late night gas stations because of all the crime that they get in the area. And a lot of the gas stations they're trying to close in Hammond are even in commercial areas, not in the middle of a community.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, ma'am. Is anybody else? You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name, talking to the mic, please.
My name's Tom Mayo. Just the number of liquor stores in the area, I could think of 11. Benny's, Aldi's, Fresh Time, 7-Eleven, Walgreens, CD Liquor, Speedway, Instant, Target, and Gusto's. Those are all just businesses right in that area. For churches, I can name probably 5 churches. There's one right in Sunnyland, one right on 30, St. John's. There's another one a little bit farther down by Gaylord and Division. Seventh-day Adventist, I think. It's twice as many places to get beer and alcohol than there is to go to church. I think that says something about a community, the ratio of that. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, thank you,
I'm
sir.
also concerned about the crime and litter in the area.
Okay, thank you. So is there anybody else? People, you swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
State your name, talking to the mic, please.
James Harris. I live at 2571 Crystal Drive. I didn't know the address until today of the subject property, 2571 Route 30, or Plainfield Road. So if they get their way and get the liquor license and they ultimately build a facility and they start selling packaged liquor, what if somebody looks on the internet and looks up 2571 and goes to 2571 Crystal Drive, pulls in my driveway thinking there's a liquor store there? So that's just one thing. I appreciate what these folks have said before. She was here before at the zoning commission, and the other gentleman did his research about the number of establishments that hold liquor licenses. I'd be interested in just how many from Interstate 55, Route 30, just say go down to Larkin Avenue and see how many establishments have been issued liquor licenses along that strip of highway.
Okay,
Another thing is talking to community. I was here at the zoning commission when they voted 4-3 to, not approve the zoning for a gas station or truck stop. But the talk in the community is that this is just a sneaky backdoor way to get their foot in the door and then build whatever they want to build out there, whether it's a truck stop or whatever, So they're going to have a truck stop and then they're going to sell packaged liquor. So I want you to know that the community people I've talked with everyone is opposed to this proposal that they have here. And the lady that said we'd be happy with something like an Olive Garden. Of course, they just opened one, the other side of I-55. But hey, any kind of he mentioned upscale restaurant. We don't care if it's upscale. If you want to build a restaurant there and have decent business hours, and we wouldn't mind that at all.
okay.
But the community is opposed to this business. First the truck stop, now they want a liquor license.
Okay, thank you,
very
sir.
much.
Was there anyone else that wished to speak? I have a quick question, Tom. What are going to be the business hours? Is this going to be a 24/7 gas station? And what are we talking, what are you going to apply for when you guys go for the liquor license? What are you guys going to ask for? What hours?
So I'm told it's 5 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Uh-huh.
But, and I have to admit, I rarely get involved in the actual class of liquor license, so I
Yeah.
have to defer to
Yeah,
the people,
I understand.
which one's appropriate. But look, the only thing I have to say is, going back to what I said originally, I believe that amending the annexation agreement to permit the sale of alcohol is appropriate. And I think we heard that from the residents. I understand what they're saying. I understand their objections. So for today, sure, amend it. Because we're not deciding here, this committee, whether or not it should be a gas station. I mean, I absolutely understand their concerns, but we can't say, don't amend it for this, but amend it for that. The issue is it gonna be amended? That's all. I mean, I have great deference to the idea we're concerned, but when we have an agreement that says no tavern, no packaged liquor.
That this is a very short stay, we only want people in and out, but then you're putting these things in that are
Yeah,
that are
look,
associated,
I think
keeping the people there for a long
anybody
time.
can have machines these days does, whether it's $1 or $10. What is the square footage of the actual C-store? 4,500 feet in the whole store. So not a very large place, not a truck stop type place.
But I remember specifically asking if that was negotiable, right? Like because that was one of the issue that the residents had was, well, you know, we don't want people being here for extended periods of time. If it's just a gas station, we can kind of see that. But if this is something where people are coming in and they're staying hours and hours, that's bringing in things, you know, that's intended purposes that we're not interested in for our community. So I guess what I'm saying is I'm having a hard time seeing how those two things all wrapped up in this bow make any sense.
Well, I think you would, to start out, if almost every gas station model wants to have packaged liquors, it's just the nature, they're making their money from the C-store.
But you don't have to have packaged liquor and a gambling license together.
But you need packaged liquor to get machines, right?
Yeah.
And we don't need special permission for that, either they qualify or they don't, so.
But they're tied together.
Yes,
In order to have one, you have to have the
You
other.
have to have a liquor license to get the machines, correct?
So is he not intending to have gambling machines there?
No, I think you want to have machines, correct? Yeah.
I'm glad you're on the board, because I didn't know anything about the gambling side of this whole stuff.
Yeah, and this is what
This was never
concerns-
mentioned.
Yeah, this is what concerns me a little bit about this scenario, is that if there would have been, I mean, because when you look at I actually pulled up the notes from the zoning, and when you look at the plan, it's not set, there's not a lot of parking spots. There's not a lot of area for people to park. It really is a very in and out setup. So now you're adding gambling machines, and now you're adding, liquor. It just seems like the whole package altogether has been a little deceptive from the beginning, but then doesn't make sense either.
So if Mr. Chairman, if I can, because I don't know the internal layout,
Yeah.
you need to be sworn in.
Okay, Chris Kolashevsky?
Swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do, sir.
State your name, talk into the mic, please, so we can hear you.
Christian Kolashevsky from WT Group. We are the architects and engineers for the site. I do want to clear up something there. There are two ways to get gaming machines in a facility. You can get a pouring license, which bars and restaurants do, and then they can qualify for the state for gaming machines. The other option, the other way to do it is if you have separate diesel pumps, you pump 50,000 gallons of diesel fuel, and you separate those from the auto facilities. Has nothing to do with alcohol, so I want to clarify that. The truck license, that's what we're going for. We're not going to try to create a little bar inside the C-store. So what's designated as the truck facility by the state verbiage requires separate diesel canopy and the amount of gasoline that, or
Okay, so now
diesel.
we do want trucks there.
Well, we want to sell for 50,000 is a very low threshold. It's the type of people that we stated would be there. It would be the box trucks, it would be the day runners, and it would be like the landscape trucks with the trailers and stuff like that. So this does not have any shower facilities. It does not have any restroom, like the shower rooms in separate facilities for the truckers. There's not a laundromat. There's not a full-serve restaurant in here. So it's not a truck stop from that definition. And so, quite frankly, most of the patrons that use the gaming machines are local residents that come in, and the average time is about 15 minutes for a patron. So it isn't hours upon time, and quite frankly, it's ironic, a lot of the truckers don't even do the gaming. It's just a niche where if you fulfill this, you don't have to have a bar, and so you can get the gaming that way.
So I go in to get my car washed over at Delta Sonic over on Larkin quite a bit, and they have the gambling machines there. They are there waiting for their car to be washed. So yeah, they'll be there 15, 20 minutes, maybe 45 if it's a long wait or whatever. So I can see how that statistic would come up. But I guess I'm just not understanding how this isn't, I mean, because let's think about like even who has box trucks. Usually box truck is like, okay, I'm moving, I need a U-Haul, or it's, I work at a hair, air conditioning, whatever. So if I'm working, I'm probably not on company time going to a machine, right? And if I'm moving, I'm probably busy moving, so I'm not going to that. So who is this gambling geared
Well,
towards?
like I said, the majority of the customer is the local resident that comes in. And they'll
But usually
play for
I'm gonna say that they're waiting for something, right?
No, it's not, people come in, they might get gas, they might get their coffee, they'll play for 15 minutes and then they're gone. So it's usually someone just on their way to work or on their way home from work is typically the customer. And this is typical for not just Group, but any type of retail petroleum facility that you see that has gaming. They have that same breakdown where most of the customers are local residents that are just playing for a few minutes.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Jason, go ahead.
Jim,
Yes.
if amending this annexation agreement, we're talking about this specific site right now, but technically by amending the annexation agreement, it's gonna pertain to the entire site, correct?
No,
It won't?
this is site-specific to these addresses.
Okay.
So the annexation agreement will be written only for this site.
Okay. So if somebody wanted to come back north of the plaza where the Denny's is, they would, or
Yeah,
west.
or even if the Denny's wanted
Liquor, they would have
liquor,
to-
they would
come.
have to amend it for their site.
Thank you.
I have the benefit, once again, of being at the zoning meeting and looking at the plans of this, and I was obviously one of the nay votes on it. But one of my concerns that I have is the setup is just, I mean, you can go look at my voting history. Usually I'm gonna be, A all day, right? But this is, it's not a good setup. You're in and out. I mean, I could see people going down this wrong street. I mean, the whole setup of it is not for long-term. I mean, even the amount of parking spots you have is like 4. I mean, when you zoom in, there's not even a lot of parking spots. So my main problem that I have with this is just that the blueprint of the facility does, to me, when I look at it, does not look like it fills you having 3 or 4 cars being there in and out at the same time, gambling and going in to make those big purchases. This looks more like I'm here to pump and I'm out.
We have 44 parking spots.
Including the pumps?
No, not including the pumps. We have in the front and on the side and then on the back and on the west side.
Oh, I see the back now, yeah.
So we have parking all the way along here, all the way along this whole long stretch, on the side and on the back.
It's so crazy to me because when this was in zoning, I remember actually saying that, because remember you had actually misspoken and you had said that there's no designed parking, but then we later, remember, do you remember that?
That's for the trucks.
That was for the trucks.
That's for the trucks.
So if a truck came in
You
to
don't-
gamble, can a box truck park there?
Technically, no, not in those spaces. And that's what I'm saying, that reflects what the business really shows, is that the local resident is playing in the games here in using these spaces.
And that's the back of the building?
That's in the back of the building, or they could be on the side. They could be in the front, wherever they want to park, but our employees will probably be parking on the side here, to the side. And again, this is a requirement for a certain amount of fueling. 50,000 gallons a month is nothing. That's,
And there's
like-
also a restaurant as well, right?
there is a, not what you would consider a sit-down restaurant or anything like that. It's a food offering, a sandwich place or something like that. You walk up, order your product, and the majority of our customers will take it into their car and continue on there. Are a few seats inside if you want to consume it there, but very minimal.
But there is a drive-through.
There is a drive-through, yes. On the street is a little bit on an angle, so you'd call it like the northwest side of the building, right here. So this is the U shape for the drive-through and coming through.
Yeah.
These elements, the drive-through, the C-store, the auto canopy, the separate CFL canopy, they make up the typical components of a retail petroleum facility. And we have designed, well, I personally have designed at least 600 of them. And so this is not wow, this is a new layout in the sense of the elements. These elements are all very much what a modern retail petroleum station is. You don't see anymore the 250-foot by 250-foot corner lot that's got 2 bays and maybe four dispensers. Everyone's going to these inline canopies that you see here. And again, that's an inline 8, which is very functional and smooth. But I'm getting into the weeds. I know we're here just to amend the use for liquor. Quite frankly, the liquor package sales is a big part of the C-store industry. And it's a main component of your ROI. And that's what the intent is to amend.
But the liquor package sale is depending, because you want to do gambling over there.
Liquor package sales and gambling are not 1 + 1 = 2. Liquor package, if you only have liquor package sales, and you don't have a truck canopy, you cannot get a gaming license. So gaming license is dependent on the diesel canopy that's on the side here.
Okay,
It's got nothing to do with the liquor package sales at all.
okay. Most spaces look, Bridget, 18 to 20 feet long in length.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have
Yes,
another one.
you have another one.
Yeah. You say now that you're having a drive-through also?
Yes, there's a drive-through.
Well, you have to get a special permit for a drive-through, because everybody else has to get special permits
Oh,
for a
yes, that's
drive-through.
part of our special use process, mentioned the drive-through, yes. The gas station isn't allowed use as a special use in the B3 district. In addition, we need the special use for a drive-through, yes. And that's part of our submittal. Again, not the focus of this meeting today.
Yes, okay.
But it is, I mean, it isn't, but it is, because part of the issue is that, I mean, when you look at this plan, and I hate to keep, beating at the horse to death here, but like, you look at the plan and the drive-through is going directly into the pumps. Like, it's like you guys are throwing in everything but the kitchen sink.
I can show you at least 50 to 100 sites that we've built that, and it's worked perfectly. It's a very slow-moving traffic pulling out of the drive-through from the stands that we have a stop bar right there, and then they pull out.
But
The
did it ever
distance-
occur to do something smaller instead of literally every option you can? You have a drive-through, you have gambling, you have, diesel, you have the
This is
liquor
a
sales.
This is a $6 million investment. You have to take advantage of all the potential profit centers. And this really is a non-dense site. In terms of the density, it's way below the FAR ratio. And so we only have a smaller building here, and these are all separated uses. You can see the CFL here, the retail customer is in this area, auto here, and then the drive-through. This is very typical. This is actually mandated by like a Dunkin' Donuts. We're not having a Dunkin' Donuts here, but The Dunkin' Donuts prefers the U shape because the customer can understand it all rather than go behind a building and get lost in that. So these are actually very well separated throughout this space. It's very typical, and it is not a congested site. It is a very well-balanced site. And the distance between the parking and the dispensers is wider than a two-lane highway. So it's very easy for a customer to pull out of the drive-through after they're done and they clear. And it's also designed so that someone can back out while someone is at the pump. We know that a retail petroleum site makes its success on two things: safety and convenience. If it's hard to get in and out, or if people feel unsafe on your site, guess what? They're gonna go down the street to the next gas station. The gas station is not a destination use, it is a siphoning use. You're not sitting on your couch watching the Super Bowl and, oh, my car is low on gas, I gotta run out and get it. You fill up your car with gas going to work or coming home from work, or if you're on the weekends doing your errands. And so it takes existing traffic. This site has 24,000 cars a day passing this site today. That's why we're here looking at this site, or not today. Today we're supposed to be just for the liquor, but the existing traffic on this site warrants this facility. There is enough traffic to warrant that $6 million plus investment into this site.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Any other questions from any commissioners? Or is there anything else from the public? You swear to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
You talk into the mic, please state your name.
Thomas Basso. I live over in the subdivision to the east off of Kellogg Street. One question real quick. What were the planned hours of operation? You had mentioned them earlier.
Talk into the mic, sir, because I can't even hear you.
5 a.m. to 11 p.m.? Okay. There, on page 17 of the handout that's included in the packet, there's an additional restriction included in the restrictions, item number 10, which prohibits idling of trucks between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. That seems to overlap a little bit with the open hours, so there may be a conflict there as well. I know we're just here talking about the liquor license. This is all tied together, unfortunately, and I did watch the zoning meeting. It took about half of the meeting for an admission that this is defined as a truck stop. We've danced around that. It was stated during the zoning meeting. And I just want to be clear that that's what this is as a definition. Additionally, I don't have a problem with the business. The citing of it is my main concern. On page 27 of that packet, item E had called for, and this is not related to your property, it's just related to the subdivision. Item E called for additional improvements on Kellogg Street, which is on the eastern boundary of that image. It's been 17 years. None of those improvements have been completed. There's also on page 71, which is an addendum, item 3, that included a decorative 6-foot fence to screen this commercial area from the surrounding residential property. None of that has been completed either. You can see all of this in these images. As to the amendment for Firestone, they spent quite a while holding meetings with the neighborhood to get concessions, and they, excuse me, eventually agreed on hours of operation from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Sunday, and that was it. As far as I can tell, there are no conditions with this application for this amendment change. And these hours are going to put it as the latest open facility in this more or less residential area. If this was, closer to the mall, there wouldn't be an issue. I don't think anybody here would have an issue with that. And it's been mentioned a little bit, but all of these houses are on wells. Whether or not there's a fuel leak per se, there's still, fuel that gets spilled when people are pumping. It's not all going to go in the drainage. It is going to get into our groundwater. And a little bit is enough to contaminate the groundwater. That's a serious concern. And again, this is nothing against the business. I just think the location for this is a poor choice. Thank you.
Thank you. You have something new you want to add, ma'am?
I do. I just wanted to mention when people from the neighborhood said that they brought up Olive Garden or a restaurant, that there's a big difference between somebody coming in and having a glass of wine with their dinner. And that's the kind of thing I think that the neighbors were saying wouldn't be quite as concerning as if you lived in our neighborhood or you drive through Crystal Lawn, you're gonna know it's a very dark neighborhood. I wake up every morning to alcohol bottles thrown on my lawn on the weekends. They like to go to the packaged liquor places, they sit in our neighborhood, they drink, and then they go on their way, leaving that behind and leaving a driver who's had liquor in their system and they're driving. My other concern is things that just came up. Originally, I thought at this meeting, they said that their hours were till midnight. Is that also being amended?
It's 5 a.m.
Okay, 5 a.m. to 11 o'clock. So that was a concern that we had. The other thing is, at the first meeting, we were assured that crime wasn't really going to be an issue because there wasn't a lot of area for people to gather during their off hours, after hours. And we just heard there's 44 parking spaces, including behind their business, between the business and the houses where those people are trying to sleep and trying to live. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the commission or you have something new you want to add?
Yeah, I want to add. I don't think that he was aware, he was talking about the gambling. We also have 3 gamblings on this side, and we also have 2 on that side also.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure we know that.
I'm familiar with that.
Think about this carefully, everybody. This is our life.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, that should be it, right? Okay, do I have a motion for yes or no on this A-6-23? Does somebody want to make a motion? And what is your motion, please?
Motion approved.
I'd like to make a motion to deny the packaged liquor.
Okay, I got 2 motions here. Do I need a second on approval or denial?
I think was one motion made before the other.
One was made before the other, but I need a second.
Yes, so that the motion to approve was made first.
I know. Is there a second for a motion for approval?
Second.
Okay.
Who was that? Who seconded?
He's next for second for a motion for approval.
Mr. Kella?
No.
Mr. Orlando?
No.
Mr. Perez?
Aye.
Ms. Rohr?
No.
Mr. Rosanellis?
Aye.
Mr. Cox?
Aye.
Mr. Heath?
No.
Mr. Dillon?
No.
So 5 noes, 3 ayes.
That motion failed.
Motion failed. Do I need to take a motion for denial now? Or do you take
Well,
one for
somebody
yes?
could make another motion, yes.
Then motion for denial, you get a second? Second. Roll call for that one.
Mr. Orlando?
Aye.
Mr. Perez?
No.
Ms. Rohr?
Aye.
Mr. Rosanellis?
No.
Mr. Cox?
No.
Mr. Heath?
Aye.
Mr. Kella?
Aye.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
So the motion to deny was approved, and we'll go to city council with that recommendation, the second meeting in August 14th and 15th, with that recommendation to deny.
You got anything else, Jim?
Just finishing up on the agenda, we have new or old business, not for final action or recommendation. We have none. Public comments, is there anyone that would like to speak on non-agenda items here in attendance? Non-agenda items. Okay.
Non-agenda item,
Yeah,
right?
non-agenda.
Okay.
Do I need to swear in again?
I'm gonna keep you sworn in for last time.
Okay. Some of the points I brought up previously regarding the conditions of the initial annexation that required certain developments and improvements. As it was mentioned, this has been 17 years approximately. It appears none of that has been done. I know we had the '08, crash that obviously threw a wrench into things. Would this be the appropriate board to address, to figure out why those aren't being completed as was defined in the annexation agreement? I know this isn't an answer
I don't think so, but I hear you.
You could talk to planning staff on that.
Okay, and that would be separate from this?
Yes.
That's been brought up several times by Wonderlic to bring that up, who's checking on these, make sure that everybody does what they say they're doing.
And one of the, I know we already had the vote, but had that privacy border been in place and the other, improvements been done during annexation, there might not have been as much resistance to this development currently as standing today. There's also an issue with the semis on Kellogg Street parking. I can show you pictures on my phone. They line up and down that street. They park there for weeks at a time. There are supposed to be no parking signs on that street, which again are part of those improvements, not done. The city has not addressed it despite repeated attempts over the past 4 or 5 years. So if with the planning board,
division.
I'll try
Yeah,
to
you
attend
can
one of
reach out
those
to them.
meetings and bring this up
You know,
there.
if it was me,
not a
I'd get a
meeting,
hold
no.
of the councilmen that are at large and
Oh, I
get them
have.
on the phone and say, hey.
Yeah, I've talked to Councilman Hug. I've pulled up the GIS because departments in the city have tried to claim that that's not city property, even though we're standing here today discussing the annexation for this parcel.
And then I come down to the city council itself and ask my 4 minutes down to talk to them.
Yeah, no,
directly.
I mean, it's a process. I'll work through the various ways, but I just want to make sure I can address that to the appropriate boards. Thank you.
Thanks. We have a
else?
motion for anything else, Jim?
Anybody else wanting to speak on non-agenda items? Okay, with that, you can
That's it. I got a
adjourn.
motion for adjournment.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Everybody say aye, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Let's go.
Thank you.